After 7 years of unrequited love, I finally decided to give up Albert, returned to City Y and married someone who loved me. But on the wedding day, Albert suddenly appeared. He brought people to wreck my wedding, pressing against my husband's head. She threatened, "How many lives do you have? Daring to marry my person?" Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Just after posting on IG, I received a call from a friend. "Esther, I heard you're getting married. Is it true?" As I was organizing the wedding guest list, I responded to the voice. "It's true." My friend burst into laughter over the phone. Besides him, there were other voices on the other end of the line. "You're really something. How could you even trick me?" That IG post of yours was obviously meant for Albert to see, wasn't it? Exactly. Esther, Albert made you angry. But are you really going to cut off all of us friends too? Hearing Albert's name again, I froze for a moment but quickly regained my composure. I explained softly, "It's not for him to see. I'm really getting married." Back when I left City A, I had already deleted all of Albert's contact information. That IG post is visible to everyone who knows me, except him. My friend still didn't believe it. He called out Albert and said to him in a joking tone, "Albert, did you hear that? If you don't go and make up with her soon, Esther will really marry someone else." Only then did I realize this phone call was made in front of Albert. These wealthy young men have always looked up to Albert as their leader. They were only willing to acknowledge me as a friend out of respect for Albert. In City A, I've always been alone, without family or true friends. If she really is getting married, I'll fly straight to City Y to deliver my congratulations, Albert said in a casual tone. Even through the phone, I could imagine his lazy expression at that moment. Someone beside him teased, "Esther is doing this just to force you to give her a proper status, isn't she? She's liked you for so many years. It's not too much to ask for a proper status," Albert said indifferently. "Just an ordinary friend. What kind of status do you expect?" After chasing Albert for 7 years, to this day, I'm still just an ordinary friend in his words. Perhaps their upper-class circle plays by different rules. That's why they'd kiss an ordinary friend. Do everything couples should do with an ordinary friend. He was the one who initially lured me into crossing the line. Later, it was also him who brushed me off as just a regular friend. The chair scraped against the floor with a sharp, grating sound. Frowning, I held the phone farther away. When I put it back to my ear, I just caught Albert's final words before leaving. "Tell her if she doesn't come back tomorrow, then never come back at all." I lowered my head and smiled silently. His friends advised me, "Don't fight with Albert anymore. Just come back sooner." Countless times before when I argued with Albert, it always ended with me losing patience and taking the initiative to coax him. I always feel that if you like someone, you shouldn't give up too easily. But when disappointments pile up, there always comes a moment when you suddenly feel it's not worth it for yourself. The phone call was filled with noise, nothing more than persuading me to go back and apologize to Albert. "Esther, just stop making a fuss." I tugged at the corner of my mouth, my tone eerily calm. "I'm not joking. This time it's real. I'm getting married. The wedding is scheduled for next Tuesday. You're all welcome to attend." They still couldn't believe it. "How is this possible? You've liked Albert for 7 years. How could you be willing to marry someone else?" "Yes, I've liked Albert for 7 years. How did you end up giving up in the end?" My father had Albert's dad a life-saving favor. So after my parents passed away, I was taken to Albert's home to be raised. The first time I met Albert, Albert's dad introduced me to him. "This is the daughter of Dad's friend. She'll be living with us from now on. I hope you two can become friends." Later, Albert and I did become very good friends. He didn't like studying, so he always tossed his homework to me, his friend, to do for him. Right before exams, I'd have to outline key points for him, predict test questions, and cram all the important material. He causes trouble outside, and at home. There's always a friend like me to cover for him. Every time he needs my help, Albert would put his arm around my shoulder and say, "Esther, aren't we friends? Friends should help each other, don't you think?" After all, it's Albert's family who's been supporting me. Albert is Albert's dad's only son. I could never bring myself to say no to him. Even when his early romance at school was reported to the homeroom teacher, Albert came to beg me, "Esther, she's not like you. She's the obedient type who'd cry at just a few words from the homeroom teacher. You're the top student in the grade, the homeroom teacher's favorite. Even if I said it was you I was dating, The teacher wouldn't have the heart to scold you. I pressed my lips together and looked at him. But my mind was still on what his friend had said in the stairwell. Albert, if you can't bear to see your little girlfriend get scolded, just have Esther admit that she's the one dating you. After all, she likes you. She definitely wouldn't refuse. But honestly, Esther is pretty. Albert, how come you're not into her? Albert said, read too many novels. She's not from our circle. The story of a prince and Cinderella only exists in fairy tales. When I heard this, my first thought was, Albert wasn't wrong. But I didn't know when Albert and his buddies found out about my feelings for him. And now, Albert put his arm around my shoulder as usual, saying, Esther, we're just friends. You know, you won't refuse me. Right. Albert was right. I wouldn't refuse him. All right. Hearing my agreement, he raised an eyebrow with a smile and pinched my cheek. I took a step back, avoiding Albert's hand, and continued, but you must break up with her. Albert didn't hesitate. Sounds good. I didn't expect him to agree so readily. The words of explanation I had prepared lingered on my lips for a moment before finally coming out. Albert's dad already knows about your puppy love. Breaking up now would be best for both of you. Albert looked at me with meaningful eyes. He shrugged and said indifferently, no need to explain. Even if I break up with her, there's no way I'd be with you. My expression froze instantly. Albert only grinned more maliciously. After all, we're friends. After all, we're friends. If he had truly kept a friendly distance, I might not have foolishly followed him around for so many years. My relationship with Albert took a qualitative turn during the summer after the college entrance exams. He said he had too much to drink and called me to pick him up. When I arrived at their gathering spot, his friend teased him. Albert, Esther is really good to you. You might as well just be with her. Albert shot the other person an annoyed sidelong glance. We're friends. Can't I be with my own friend? You're really disgusting. He's the one who claims it's just a friendship, yet calls it disgusting. It was also him who kissed me in the car when I wasn't paying attention. He said, Esther, they were right. You are indeed very beautiful. At that moment, my mind was buzzing, and it was him who led me out of the car when we got home. Albert wasn't drunk. At least he was sober when he did these things with me. He asked me, are you planning to go to University A for college? I nodded. Albert is going abroad. This was Albert's dad had arranged for him long ago, but I never expected that in the end. He would go with me to enroll at University A. On the way, I asked him why. Albert leaned back in his seat and turned to look at me. Esther, you can't possibly not know why I stayed, can you? I was full of myself, thinking he stayed for me. So I treated every movie we watched together, every meal we shared, and every moment we spent alone as a date. But Albert still referred to me as just a regular friend when talking to others. Just a regular friend. In your heart, am I really just a regular friend? I tearfully confronted him. Albert said, isn't this good enough? Must you make our relationship public and turn it into gossip for others to be happy? Esther, I don't like that. I thought you understood me. Actually, I don't understand. I don't understand at all. Albert, but because I like him, I still compromise myself, taking the initiative to comfort him before he leaves, begging him to reconcile. No matter what, I'll always remember when I first transferred to City A. It was him who stood up for me against those classmates who mocked my accent. Albert said, tell me if anyone bullies you from now on. I remembered that for a lifetime. But later, the person who bullied me the most turned out to be him. Albert has many beautiful girls around him, and they are all his friends. I comfort myself. Anyway, all his buddies know about our relationship, so whether it's public or not doesn't matter. Until the third year after graduating from college, Grandma suddenly fell seriously ill. Her only wish was to see me get married. When I hurried to find Albert, I saw him hugging Bella. Only then did I realize how foolish and absurd it was to think that Albert had defied Albert's dad and stayed in the country just for me. Bella was Albert's high school sweetheart, a graduate of the art department at University A. Also Albert's only publicly acknowledged girlfriend. Albert stayed because of her. I stood a few steps away, watching the two of them, hearing Bella say, I remember back in school, Esther had a crush on you, and you told me she was a toad lusting after swan meat. She paused for a moment. Back in college, I often saw you walking with Esther. Did you two end up together? No. Albert denied it, saying, we were just ordinary friends. The words, ordinary friends, suddenly jolted me awake. Suddenly realized these 7 years were nothing but a joke. I used to think that one day I could warm Albert's heart. Only now do I understand that a person's heart is naturally warm. It just depends on who it's for. That night, I swallowed back all the words I had intended to say to Albert. After deleting all his contact information, I bought a ticket to leave City A. City Y has no dazzling false prosperity. Everything here feels very real. After I returned, my grandmother's condition improved significantly, so she also had the energy to start arranging blind dates for me. I understand her thoughts. I'm just afraid that after I'm gone, you'll truly be left all alone. If those relatives were reliable, they wouldn't have sent you to your father's friend's house after your mother passed away. Grandma hopes you can start a family. Find the right person, preferably someone who loves you, to take care of you in the future. So when she introduced me to Auntie Alva's grandson, I didn't refuse. Auntie Alva's grandson was named Colin. Very tall, nearly 6 feet 3 inches, with handsome features, broad shoulders, and a narrow waist. The type who never lacked for girlfriends. On our first meeting, he gave me a bouquet of lily of the valley. This is quite novel. I thought blind dates would involve receiving roses. You don't seem like someone who needs to go on blind dates. I'm very straightforward when I speak. Colin nodded with a smile. Neither do you. He has a small mole under his eye, giving him a naturally affectionate look when he gazes at people or things. After returning home, I told my grandmother, Colin seems nice, but I can't shake the feeling he has many girlfriends. Nonsense. When grandmother laughed, her eyes would disappear. She said, Colin is practically like a son to me, having watched him grow up. Many girls fancy him, but he's a good kid at heart. Besides, Grandma hesitated, leaving her words unspoken. Besides what? I asked her, but she refused to say more. The little old lady is quite mischievous and loves to keep people in suspense. Grandma and Auntie Alva were trying hard to set us up. Colin played along with their antics, making me seem like the ungrateful one. Esther, would you like to try with me? He said this to me while we were helping harvest corn in the field. This was hardly an appropriate setting for such words. Yet when Colin asked me like this, I forgot to refuse. City Y's summer isn't particularly hot, but the sunlight is glaring. I froze in place, thought for a moment, and then confessed to him about my relationship with Albert. I thought he would mind, would retreat, but Colin seriously told me, the pace of life is so fast now. Very few people would put so much effort into liking someone. Esther, you're even better than I imagined. He's really good at giving compliments, just like when he praised me earlier. Esther, you're truly a master at husking corn. City Y's dialect combined with his unique tone makes it particularly pleasant to listen to. Through our interactions, I came to realize that his superior looks were merely Colin's least remarkable quality. Humorous, romantic, humble, filial, and respectful towards women. The shining qualities he possesses are as numerous as the stars. Grandmother's condition kept fluctuating, sometimes better and sometimes worse. Every time she fell ill, she was very well behaved and actively cooperated with the doctor's treatments. Until one day, I accidentally overheard her secretly asking the doctor, how much longer do I have to live? Doctor, please save me. I can't die yet. My Esther hasn't started a family. If I go, how lonely she would be all by herself. I gently closed the door and sat back down on the bench in the hallway. Just as I was about to call Colin, I looked up and saw him already approaching. Grandma said your grandmother is sick. Is it serious? He was out of breath, likely having rushed over in a hurry. It's not serious. I forced a smile and shook my head. Colin is tall. I have to tilt my head up to meet his eyes. Colin, will you marry me? Before asking this question, I already knew the answer in my heart. He wouldn't refuse me. Colin likes me. It's as clear as day. But he was still startled. Are you sure? Yeah, I responded softly. You don't want to. I do. A smile gradually spread in his eyes. Perhaps noticing that I had been looking up all along, Colin knelt down in front of me. Suddenly, the tables were turned. Do you know why I gave you Lily of the Valley when we first met? The flower language of Lily of the Valley is, before happiness arrives, I will wait slowly until the day you return. Esther, I like you. From the first moment I saw you. The wedding was Colin's preparation. I thought with such limited time, the wedding would be very simple. It wasn't until his assistant explained the wedding day procedures to me that I realized Colin was being completely serious. The wedding was grand and romantic. I, who originally had no intention of making it public, suddenly posted about getting married on IG. Unfortunately, I don't have many friends, so no one would come to attend my wedding. After dinner, I went to watch a movie with Colin. I picked the movie, a visually beautiful but plot-boring art film. This kind of film isn't popular in small places like City Y. There were already very few people when we entered, and by the halfway point of the movie, only Colin and I remained in the theater. The male and female leads on the screen were passionately kissing. I turned to look at Colin. Colin, haven't we kissed yet? My voice wasn't loud, but Colin definitely heard it. His earlobes quickly flushed red. Returning to City Y for 3 months, I've heard many people praise Colin for his steadiness. And now, the steady director Colin trembles slightly when I kiss him, utterly nervous. This side of him is quite rare. I couldn't resist harboring wicked thoughts, abruptly withdrawing just as he was getting a taste for it. Colin stood frozen in place, at a loss, but he quickly realized I was doing it on purpose. Esther. His voice was deep and hoarse, filled with helpless indulgence, sending an electric current through my ears that made me shiver with a tingling sensation. My heartbeat involuntarily quickened. Kiss me again. He hooked his finger with mine and pleaded. Colin possessed an alluring magic that made people helplessly fall for him. When I leaned in again to press my lips against his, Colin's hand moved to the small of my back. I repeated my old trick, preparing to pull away again. Colin suddenly tightened his grip around my waist, pulling me into his embrace. Esther, just a little longer. This time, the initiative was in his hands. All I could do was press my hands against his chest, breathing slowly as I tilted my head back to accept. Esther. Colin kissed me repeatedly while calling my name over and over. His voice gradually choked with sobs. When I tasted the bitterness of tears, I opened my eyes and gently pushed him away. Why are you crying? Colin held me close, burying his head in the crook of my neck. Sorry, did I scare you? I shook my head blankly. I heard him continue. Esther, I really like you so much. Everything now feels like a dream. His sudden confession left me somewhat at a loss. After a moment's thought, I patted his back and comforted him, saying, you're probably just experiencing pre-wedding jitters. Try to relax and not overthink it. He replied, I suppose I really am a bit anxious. Esther, could you spend more time with me during this period? I nodded in agreement. After watching the movie, Colin walked me to the entrance of my apartment complex. This is an old residential area where most residents are elderly grandparents. Seeing the red sports car parked by the roadside, both Colin and I couldn't help but feel curious and took a few extra glances. As we were about to leave, Colin suddenly asked me, Esther, do you ever regret it? What is there to regret? I asked in confusion. Colin looked at me with a tense expression. Regretting marrying me? No, I said with certainty. Colin, marrying you wasn't a decision I made on impulse, so I'll never regret it. The streetlights, long neglected, flicker on and off unpredictably. Colin stood at the foot of the steps, gazing up at me. His eyes were gentle, their gaze sparkling. Yes, if you ever regret this one day, it will surely be because I didn't do well enough. Esther, I won't let you regret this. He was usually reserved in character, but at this moment he laughed unrestrainedly, the small mole beneath his eye trembling along with his mirth. Only after he had walked far away, his figure disappearing from sight, did I prepare to head home. Turning around, I saw Albert standing in the shadows not far away. Seeing me frozen in place, Albert let out a light scoff and stepped towards me. I suddenly remembered what he said on the phone that day. If she really insists on getting married, I'll fly straight to City Y to deliver my congratulations. Albert truly keeps his word. I twitched the corner of my mouth and was just about to say thanks. Albert asked me with a dark expression, who is that man? Instead of answering, I asked him, why did you come to City Y? Albert put his hands in his pockets, his dark eyes fixed on me. What do you think I came for? He's really good at saying these kinds of ambiguous statements. This phrasing is exactly the same as when I first reported to university back then. Back then, I foolishly thought he liked me, but not anymore. Are you here to give me a wedding gift? Thank you. Albert didn't look well. Today marks the 3rd day since learning Esther is getting married. On the first day, he thought Esther was just being her usual self, and it would blow over in a couple of days. On the second day, he was still on Esther's blacklist. Through a friend, he saw Esther's photo with that man on her IG. Albert suddenly realized that Esther might actually be serious about getting married this time. He thought, if she wants to get married, so be it. He never had much genuine affection for her anyway. All those ambiguous things he did were only because Esther was beautiful enough. And she liked him a lot. So he didn't mind being ambiguous with her. But that night he had a dream, in which Esther lay in that man's arms, doing all the things they had done before. Albert suddenly woke up with a start, immediately bought a flight ticket to City Y. Who was that man just now? He repeated what he had just said, persistently wanting to hear an answer from me. I suddenly thought of my past self. Back then, Albert would always have many beautiful girls suddenly appearing around him. Feeling insecure, I would repeatedly ask him who those girls were. Albert would initially patiently brush me off. Just friends. Gradually grew impatient. He said, Esther, what business is it of yours who they are? You're so nosy. Now Albert is asking me in exactly the same tone I used when I asked him. But I won't follow his example of hiding things like a coward. He is my fiancé. We're already engaged and will be holding our wedding soon. Albert, if you have time, you could stay in City Y to attend our wedding. Albert sneered mockingly, using marriage to threaten me. Perhaps it's because in the past, my affection for Albert was unreserved, fervent and grand, so they all thought I would never leave Albert, never give up on him, or marry someone else. I'm really getting married, whether you believe it or not. Fine. Albert took out his phone and made a call right in front of me. If you're getting married, then I'll invite my friends from City A to your wedding. Esther, I'll be damned if I let you marry someone else right in front of me. He spoke loudly and aggressively, causing many people upstairs to stick their heads out to see what was happening. Esther, Grandma had come downstairs at some point without anyone noticing. She stood in front of me, warning Albert, with me here, no one can bully my Esther. The little old lady truly saw Albert as a bad person, pushing me behind her. Hurry upstairs. I'll hold him off here. Esther, don't be afraid. Colin will be here soon. As soon as she finished speaking, I saw Colin return. Colin is the kind of humble and polite person, but Albert is not. Albert grew up in privilege, and his superior family conditions fostered an arrogant personality. He ignored Colin's outstretched hand, glanced at me, and said disdainfully, "Do you think Esther really wants to marry you? She's just throwing a tantrum to force me to compromise with her." Even in the face of Albert's attitude, Colin remained gentle in tone. "You don't understand Esther. She's not that kind of person." It was unclear which word in that sentence had angered Albert. He suddenly became furious. "Do you think you know her better than I do? Do you even know her past to dare marry her?" Colin wore a faint smile on his face, speaking in a calm and unhurried tone. "If I want to know, I'll ask her myself. She'll tell me if she's willing to." After saying this, Colin added, "I don't need to learn about Esther through someone else's words. But Albert is a very self-centered person. She's liked me since childhood, followed me for 7 years, and in those 7 years, we've kissed, hugged, done everything." When he told Colin about these things, his tone was smug, carrying a hint of boasting. I pursed my lips and looked at Albert, feeling an indescribable mix of emotions. Colin held my hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. It felt like a silent comfort. I lowered my head and heard him retort to Albert, "So what? She liked you for 7 years, while I've liked her for 13 years. Mr. Albert, her having liked you isn't her fault, nor should it become her stain. On the contrary, I admire her willingness to love someone wholeheartedly without calculating gains or losses, even if the person she loved wasn't me. Knowing how much she once liked you, I admire her even more. She was let down by you, mistreated by you, and it pains me. So from now on, I'll love her twice as much, cherish her, and make up for all the hurt she suffered because of you. To be honest, I should thank you. If it weren't for you, my secret crush might never have seen the light of day." "Mr. Albert, do you have anything else to say?" These words shocked not only me, but even Albert. He stood frozen in place. Grandma picked up the broom by the wall and said, "Don't think you can bully our Esther. She's got people backing her up. Just try bullying her again in the future. That broom is definitely not clean." Albert recoiled in disgust. Before leaving, he didn't forget to throw a threat. "Do you really think you can marry her?" Colin called while I was still enjoying the breeze by the window. "Grandma has already fallen asleep. She was frightened tonight and took a long time to calm down after taking her medicine before finally falling asleep. Before going to bed, Grandma cried and said, 'It's my fault for being useless, making you suffer so much hardship and endure so much injustice before. Actually, these years I've been at Albert's place living quite well. Albert's dad treated me very well, providing me with food and necessities similar to Albert's. I never had to endure much hardship, nor did I suffer many grievances. I've always been grateful to him. So after finalizing the wedding date, the first thing I did was send him a separate wedding invitation. Just now I received his reply. Uncle has been very busy lately and might not be able to attend the wedding. Albert's dad has indeed been very busy these past 2 years. It's okay. Please take care of yourself and get some rest. Right after sending the message, I received Colin's call. I'm home. Is Grandma asleep? She's asleep. Suddenly, I remembered what he had said downstairs. So I asked him, was that thing you just told Albert true? There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds, as if he was thinking. Esther, every word I said to him tonight was true. My heart suddenly raced. Was the part about liking me for 13 years also true? Colin replied with a hint of laughter in his tone. It's all true. So when you said you liked me at first sight, it wasn't during the blind date, was it? I spoke a bit quickly. Colin, did we know each other before? I stood by the window and thought for a long time. But in my past memories, there doesn't seem to be someone like him. I know you, but you might not know me. Colin couldn't hide the disappointment in his voice. It's been too long. It's normal that you've forgotten. Esther, we need the ability to turn the page. Let bygones be bygones. The wind outside grew stronger, with faint, low rumbles of thunder in the distance. Colin said, the wind is picking up. It might rain. Suddenly, I thought of our wedding. It's raining. Can our lawn wedding still proceed as scheduled? He replied with certainty. Of course. After hanging up, I still tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Suddenly, Albert's threatening words came to mind. After much deliberation, I finally removed Albert from the blacklist. I sent him a text message proposing a meeting. Albert's first words upon seeing me were, come back to City A with me. I gently shook my head. Albert, we're over. Who says you get to decide when it's over? Albert protested unwillingly. Esther, you're marrying someone else without even breaking up with me first. What do you take me for? It's true. I left in such a hurry back then without saying anything. But, we were never together in the first place. Albert, didn't you say we were just ordinary friends? You never confessed to me, never asked me if we should be together, and I never agreed to be your girlfriend. How can that be considered being together? Besides, haven't you always told everyone that we're just friends? Albert's lips quivered, hesitating to speak. I thought these things didn't need to be said out loud, that just the two of us knowing would be enough. I never had these things before, so I comforted myself the same way. It's okay not to have them, as long as the two of us know the nature of our relationship. But Colin told me that a sense of ceremony is very important, so he confessed his feelings to me, asked if I wanted to give it a try with him, proposed to me, and went all out to prepare the engagement ceremony. When introducing me to others, he would say, this is my fiancé. His affection was never hidden, giving me a full sense of security. Albert, in the end, it's just because you don't like me. You don't act this way with someone you like. When he was with Bella, he was flamboyant and bold, practically wanting the whole school to know. After some thought, I continued, actually, on the night I left City A, I saw you with Bella. Albert interrupted me. I've had nothing to do with her for a long time. If you don't believe me, you can ask her. He moved too fast. I didn't even have time to stop him before the call to Bella was connected. Albert had his phone on speaker. Albert, is something the matter? Nothing. Bella, we've long had nothing to do with each other. Right. The voice on the phone paused. Why ask so suddenly? Albert looked at me and said, because someone misunderstood our relationship. She's right beside me now. Bella laughed twice. Is it Esther? Right. Esther. Albert and I broke up long ago. Albert, this sudden incident made both Bella and me very awkward. I hurriedly explained. After hanging up the phone, I frowned at Albert. Albert, I stopped caring long ago whether you and Bella have anything going on. Could you stop being so childish? Since you don't care, then break up with Colin and come back to City A with me. I calmly replied, I won't go back. I don't like City A. City A's winters are too cold. Actually, when I first arrived in City A, I did like it. City A's winter is adorned in silver, like an enchanted fairy world. Later, I feared the cold and came to hate City A's winters because one year, I accompanied Albert to West Mountain to see the snow, and he abandoned me on the mountain. That night, I was both freezing and terrified. crying as I ran down the mountain. Luckily, I fainted and was rescued by a kind-hearted person. From childhood to adulthood, I had never been so seriously ill. Albert's dad was really scared at the time. Albert turned his head away, not daring to look me in the eye. Esther, that was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. I nodded with a smile. It's okay. It's all in the past. Albert, it's time we put those things behind us. Can you please stop bothering me from now on? With that, I left the money for the coffee and got up to leave. Albert chased after me and grabbed my arm. Esther, as long as you come back to City A with me, we'll get married. Haven't you always wanted a proper status? Isn't being my wife enough? Before I could even respond, Colin pushed open the car door and came over. Today, he was the one who brought me to see Albert, and he waited in the car the whole time afterward. He knocked away Albert's hand. Mr. Albert, isn't it inappropriate for you to hold my fiancé's hand like this? Seeing that Albert was about to take action, I shielded Colin and warned him. Albert, out of respect for Albert's dad, I haven't said anything harsh to you. You always said we were friends before, and I don't think friends should come to this point. But now, I just want you to disappear from my sight immediately. I hate you, and I never want to see you again. Albert stood frozen in place. He stared at me for a long time before finally speaking hoarsely. You've never raised your voice at me like this before. He laughed self-deprecatingly. Even when I went too far, you'd only be sad by yourself. But now, you're actually scolding me for an outsider. He's not an outsider, I retorted coldly. He's my fiancé, and soon to be my husband. With that, I took Colin by the hand and left. In the car, I asked Colin, did you come with me today because you didn't trust me? Colin glanced at me and said with a bitter smile, I lack confidence in myself. Lately, my pre-wedding anxiety has been getting worse and worse. I'm so afraid you'll suddenly change your mind and leave me. The teasing smile on my face froze abruptly. Reached over and patted Colin's leg, reassuring him, don't worry, Colin, I will definitely marry you. After that day, I never saw Albert again. I thought he had left City A, until he suddenly showed up at my wedding with a group of his brothers. After not seeing him for a few days, Albert seemed like a completely different person. I've never seen him in such a disheveled state before. He appeared much thinner, with sunken eyes, bloodshot, and a frenzied look about him. This appearance was a far cry from when he first arrived in City Y. Albert led his men to block us in the dressing room, pressing a gun against Colin's head as a threat. How many lives do you think you have? How dare you fucking marry my person? I wanted to step forward. Colin pulled me back and shielded me behind him, until we heard Albert's dad's voice outside the door. I was wondering Albert's dad how he suddenly appeared here when the dressing room door was pushed open from outside. Seeing the scene inside, Albert's dad quickly stepped forward and snatched Albert's gun. With a backhanded slap across his face, he shouted, Are you insane? What are you causing trouble for here? He dragged Albert over to Colin and said, Director Colin, it's all due to my lack of discipline. I apologize on behalf of my son. After saying that, he had the bodyguards come in and tie up Albert. I'll take him away immediately. I promise it won't affect the wedding. But Albert refused to leave, struggling and making a scene non-stop. He even grabbed a pair of scissors and held them to his own neck, threatening Albert's dad, If you dare let them tie me up, I'll kill myself right in front of you. Albert's dad had only this one son and naturally didn't dare make another move. I looked at the messy dressing room and pursed my lips, calmly walked over to Albert and without warning, slapped Albert across the face. Everyone fell silent. Albert wore an expression of utter disbelief, standing frozen for a long moment before finally snapping out of it. Had enough fun. Albert, if you're done, get the hell out. I looked straight into his eyes and enunciated each word deliberately. Albert, what exactly did I do wrong? You're going to treat me like this? You want to ruin my wedding? Albert froze, the scissors in his hand falling to the ground. The bodyguard seized the opportunity to come over and tie him up. Esther, I cut him off. Get lost, leave City Y, and never show your face in front of me again. Colin walked over to me, glanced at Albert with a smirk, and put his arm around my shoulder. Let's go. The wedding is starting. At the wedding, the officiant asked me if I was willing to marry Colin. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Albert standing in the corner, guarded by bodyguards, watching the ceremony. When I said, I do, Albert suddenly burst into tears, worried about disturbing the other guests. The bodyguard directly gagged him with a towel and escorted him away from the wedding venue. Albert had no idea about the scene he caused at the wedding. Seeing me get married, the old lady was both crying and laughing. I'm just too happy. How wonderful. My Esther will never be alone again. Her health isn't good. She needs to go home and rest after the ceremony. After seeing Grandma off, on the way back I accidentally heard Albert's voice. Dad, let me go say one more thing to Esther. Okay. After that I'll go back to City A with you. Albert's dad was deeply disappointed by his son's failure to meet expectations. What are you talking about? She's already married now. Nothing you say will change that. Albert, I told you before to be with Esther. But you were the one who looked down on her and rejected her. I was wrong, Dad. Albert said through tears. I thought she would always like me. I figured once I had my fill of fun, I'd give her the status she deserved and marry her. I just never imagined she would leave one day. That she would marry someone else. Enough. Albert's dad patted Albert. She's happy now. Don't go disturbing her anymore. Besides, you've offended Colin, and he probably won't let you off easy in the future. Albert, it's time you grew up. I lowered my head and smiled faintly, pretending not to hear. If she really is getting married, I'll fly straight to City Y to give her a congratulatory gift. Esther. Colin noticed I hadn't returned for a while, so he came out to look for me. He glanced towards Albert and then took my hand. I asked him, Albert's dad, did you call him here? Yeah, Colin responded softly. Albert is quite wild, but he's afraid of his father. So I sent an invitation to Mr. Henry. He was quite surprised to know that I married you. Oh, so that's how it is. I nodded. Seeing that I stopped talking, Colin asked again, tired? Not tired. The weather was beautiful today, with clear skies and a gentle breeze. I looked up at Colin and whispered to him, Colin, I think I remember something about when we first met. So you already liked me back then? Huh? Colin stopped walking. He smiled and kissed my forehead, then kissed my eyes. Yes, I like Esther. I've liked Esther since a very, very long time ago. The end.